Obi-Wan Kenobi falls into the lava, screaming. The greatest Jedi Master of his generation is gone forever, consumed by molten rock while his former Padawan watches with burning yellow eyes. This is the moment that changes everything. One single choice, one different decision, and suddenly Luke Skywalker will never become a hero. Princess Leia will never lead a rebellion. The Death Star will never be destroyed, because the man who was supposed to guide them, to protect them, to teach Luke the ways of the Force, just died on Mustafar. What happens when the Chosen One chooses differently? When Anakin Skywalker doesn't lose his limbs but instead claims total victory? When there's no Ben Kenobi to watch over Luke on Tatooine? The answer will shock you. Anakin Skywalker's yellow eyes burn with more than reflected lava light. The young man who once carved wooden toys for children, who spoke passionately of freedom and justice, has been consumed by something darker. His crimson blade moves with brutal efficiency, each strike carrying not just the weight of his anger, but the crushing inevitability of his fall. You were the Chosen One. Obi-Wan's voice cracks with emotion as their sabers lock, sparks cascading around them like falling stars. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. The words hit Anakin like physical blows, but instead of awakening the light within him, they only fuel the fire of his rage. Balance? You want to talk to me about balance? Where was the balance when my mother died in slavery while the Jedi did nothing? Where was the balance when the Council refused to trust me, refused to make me a master despite everything I've done for them? Their lightsabers separate with a sharp hiss, and the two warriors circle each other on the narrow platform. Around them, the mining facility continues its relentless work, automated systems extracting precious minerals from the planet's molten core, oblivious to the cosmic drama unfolding in their midst. Anakin, you're breaking my heart. I've tried to be there for you, tried to guide you, but you've allowed this Lord Sidious to twist your mind until now you've become the very thing you swore to destroy. The mention of his secret master sends a fresh wave of fury through Anakin. How dare Obi-Wan speak of things he doesn't understand? How dare he judge choices he was never forced to make? Don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I see through the lies of the Jedi. I do not fear the dark side as you do. I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire. Your new empire? Obi-Wan's voice carries a mixture of heartbreak and disbelief. My allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. If you're not with me, then you're my enemy. The words hang in the air between them for a moment, carrying with them the weight of everything they once meant to each other. Master and Padawan, brothers in all but blood, two halves of what should have been an unbreakable whole. Only a Sith deals in absolutes. Obi-Wan's lightsaber comes up in a classic Sorosu defensive stance. I will do what I must. You will try. The duel that follows is unlike anything the galaxy has ever witnessed. These are not merely two skilled warriors fighting with elegant weapons. This is the clash of philosophies, the collision of destinies that have been building toward this moment for over a decade. Obi-Wan fights with the patience and wisdom of the Jedi, his blade work a masterpiece of defensive perfection. He redirects Anakin's aggressive strikes, using his former student's own power against him, seeking to tire him out and create an opening for a non-lethal resolution. But Anakin has grown beyond the young man Obi-Wan once trained. His connection to the dark side has unlocked reservoirs of power that even he didn't know he possessed. Each strike of his crimson blade carries the force of his accumulated pain. His anger at the Jedi, his fear for Padme, his desperate need to reshape a galaxy that has repeatedly failed him. Their battle carries them across the mining facility's various platforms, a deadly dance performed hundreds of feet above rivers of molten rock. Machinery explodes around them as their lightsabers slice through control panels and support structures. The very air seems to ripple with the intensity of their conflict. I have failed you, Anakin. I have failed you. Obi-Wan's admission comes as he barely deflects a strike that would have taken his head. The pain in his voice is evident even over the roar of volcanic fury. I should have known the Jedi were plotting to take over. Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil. From my point of view, the Jedi are evil. Their lightsabers meet again and again, each clash sending shockwaves through the Force. But gradually, inexorably, Anakin's superior raw power begins to tell. His strikes come faster, harder, driving Obi-Wan back step by step. Then comes the moment that changes everything. In the original timeline, this would be where Obi-Wan gains the high ground, where he warns Anakin not to try it, where the young Sith Lord's arrogance costs him everything. But in this reality, something different happens. As they approach the edge of the mining platform, both warriors sense the opportunity at the same moment. Obi-Wan leaps backward, seeking the tactical advantage of higher ground. It's a move he's made countless times in training, a fundamental principle of lightsaber combat that has served him well throughout the Clone Wars. But Anakin doesn't immediately follow. Instead, he closes his eyes for just a fraction of a second and reaches out with the Force, feeling the structure of the platform beneath Obi-Wan's feet, sensing the stress points in the metal, the places where heat and time have weakened the bonds that hold it together. When Anakin opens his eyes again, they burn with the yellow fire of the dark side, but there's something else there too, a terrible clarity, a cold calculation that would make Emperor Palpatine proud. You underestimate my power, but instead of leaping to his doom, Anakin thrusts both hands forward, channeling the dark side through his body and into the very structure of Obi-Wan's platform. The Force flows through him like molten metal, carrying with it all his pain, all his anger, all his desperate need to win. The effect is immediate and catastrophic. Metal screams as stress fractures race through the platform's supports. Obi-Wan's eyes widen in shock as he feels the structure beginning to give way beneath him. He tries to leap to safety, but Anakin is ready for that too. A powerful Force push catches Obi-Wan in midair, sending him tumbling toward the lava river below. For a moment that seems to stretch into eternity, the greatest defensive master the Jedi Order has ever produced falls helplessly through the superheated air. But Obi-Wan Kenobi is not finished yet. At the last possible second, his fingers catch the edge of a damaged coolant pipe that juts out from the facility's infrastructure. His lightsaber clatters away into the lava as he hangs by his fingertips, the heat from below searing his robes and singing his beard. Anakin lands heavily on the collapsing platform and walks slowly to the edge, looking down at his former master with those terrible yellow eyes. This is the man who raised him, who believed in him when no one else would, who taught him to use a lightsaber and to trust in the Force. This is the closest thing to a father he's ever known. Help me. Obi-Wan's voice is strained with effort and pain. Please, Anakin. Whatever Palpatine has told you, whatever he's promised, it's not too late. You can still choose differently. For just a moment, something flickers behind Anakin's burning gaze. A memory of better times, perhaps. An echo of the man he used to be. But then he thinks of Padme, alone and pregnant and doomed to die if he doesn't use the power Sidious has promised to teach him. He thinks of the Jedi Council's endless restrictions, their fear of his abilities, their refusal to trust him with the rank of master despite everything he's accomplished. The moment of hesitation passes like a shadow across the suns. You were right about one thing, Master. This is where it ends, but not the way you thought. Anakin ignites his lightsaber, the crimson blade humming with dark purpose. Obi-Wan looks up at him, and in that moment, both men understand that this truly is the end of everything they once shared. I'm sorry, Obi-Wan, but I have to save her. I have to save Padme. The lightsaber descends in a swift, merciful arc. The coolant pipe is severed cleanly, and Obi-Wan Kenobi, the greatest Jedi master of his generation, falls into the molten river with a sound that will haunt Anakin's dreams for the rest of his life. For a long moment, Anakin stands alone on the edge of the platform, staring down at the lava that has consumed his former master. The reality of what he's done hits him like a physical blow. He's crossed a line that can never be uncrossed, broken a bond that can never be repaired, but there's no time for grief or regret. Padme needs him. The visions that have tormented his sleep show her dying in childbirth, and only the power that Darth Caedus has promised can save her. He must return to Coruscant immediately. The flight back to the capital is a blur of hyperspace and burning thoughts. Anakin's ship cuts through the cosmic void like an arrow of dark purpose, carrying its pilot toward a confrontation that will reshape the galaxy. In the ship's cockpit, surrounded by the soft glow of instrument panels, Anakin Skywalker dies a little more with each passing parsec, leaving only Darth Vader behind. On Coruscant, Padme Amidala waits in their secret apartment, her hands resting on her swollen belly as she stares out at the endless urban landscape. The city planet spreads out below her like a glittering circuit board, millions of lights marking the homes and dreams of countless beings. She's felt Anakin's pain through their bond, sensed the darkness that threatens to consume him, but she still clings to hope that love can save them both. When the door to the apartment hisses open, she turns with a smile that dies on her lips. The man who enters is Anakin, but he's also something else. Something that makes her maternal instincts scream warnings even as her heart reaches out to him. Anakin. Thank the Force, you're safe. I felt such pain, such anger. What happened? Where have you been? He moves toward her with predatory grace, his cloak still bearing scorch marks from Mustafar's volcanic fury. When he speaks, his voice carries undertones that she's never heard before, harmonics of power and barely controlled violence. It's over, Padme. I've done what had to be done. The Jedi Rebellion has been crushed. Obi-Wan and the others, they tried to stop me from saving you, but they failed. The words hit her like ice water. Saving me? Anakin, what are you talking about? And what's happened to your eyes? She's noticed it now, the way his blue eyes have taken on flecks of yellow, like flames consuming sky. It's subtle still, not the full transformation that will come with time and deeper corruption. But it's there, a sign of the darkness that has taken root in his soul. I've seen it, Padme. I've seen you die, in childbirth, in pain alone. But it doesn't have to happen. I've learned the power to save you, to save anyone I choose from death itself. As he speaks, Anakin begins to pace the room with barely contained energy. His hands gesture emphatically, and she notices how his right hand seems to twitch toward the lightsaber at his belt whenever he mentions the Jedi. You're scaring me, Anakin. What power? And what's happened to Obi-Wan? You said the Jedi Rebellion, but Obi-Wan would never rebel against the Republic, wouldn't he? Anakin's laugh is bitter and cold. He and the Council, they tried to arrest Chancellor Palpatine. They called him a Sith Lord, tried to take control of the Senate by force. They would have destroyed democracy itself to maintain their power. The lies come easily now, shaped by Palpatine's teachings and his own desperate need to justify what he's done. In his mind, he's already begun to rewrite history, to cast himself as the hero of this dark tale. Palpatine is a Sith Lord? Padme's political mind immediately grasps the implications. Anakin, if that's true, then the Jedi were right to act. The Sith are the enemy of everything we've fought for. No! You don't understand. The Jedi are the ones who have been manipulating the war, playing both sides. They're the ones who have kept the galaxy in conflict to increase their own power. The Chancellor has shown me the truth. As Anakin speaks, his voice rises with passion and conviction. But Padme has known him too long, loved him too deeply, not to see the cracks in his certainty. This isn't the man who once told her that the most important thing was to stay together, no matter what. This is someone else wearing Anakin's face. Come with me, Padme. Together we can rule the galaxy, make things the way we want them to be. No more war, no more suffering. Just peace through strength, rule the galaxy. Anakin, listen to yourself. This isn't you talking. This is someone else, something else. She backs away from him as he approaches, her hand moving instinctively to protect her unborn children. The movement doesn't escape his notice, and something cold flickers across his transformed features. Everything I've done for you, for us, for our children. And you want to stand there and judge me? I'm not judging you, Anakin. I'm trying to save you. The man I love wouldn't talk about ruling the galaxy. He would talk about serving it, about protecting those who can't protect themselves. The man you love is gone. Anakin's voice cracks with emotion. He died with the Jedi, with all their lies and restrictions. I am more than he ever was. I am more powerful than the Chancellor now. I can overthrow him and we can bring peace to the galaxy. Padme realizes with growing horror that she's lost him. The gentle young man who carved toys for Naboo children, who spoke passionately about freedom and justice, has been consumed by something terrible. In his place stands a stranger wearing his face, speaking of power and domination with the casual ease of a career politician discussing tax policy. You're breaking my heart, Anakin. You're going down a path I can't follow. The words echo across time and space, carrying with them the weight of a love that has been tested beyond its breaking point. In another timeline, this would be the moment when Obi-Wan emerges from her ship, when Anakin's jealousy and rage lead him to attempt murder. But Obi-Wan is dead, consumed by Mustafar's molten fury, and there will be no interruption to this final confrontation between light and dark. Then you will die. The words escape Anakin's lips before he can stop them, and immediately he knows he's revealed too much of what he's become. Padme's face goes white with shock and fear, but not just for herself, for him, for what he's allowing himself to become. But instead of force choking her as he might have in his rage, Anakin does something far more calculated, far more chilling. He reaches out with the dark side, not to harm her, but to preserve her. Using techniques Palpatine has taught him, abilities that blur the line between life and death, he places her in a state of force stasis. Padme's eyes widen in terror as she feels the dark energy washing over her, freezing her in place like an insect in amber. She can see, can hear, can think, but she cannot move, cannot speak, cannot resist. It's a violation more intimate than violence, a theft of agency that cuts to the very core of who she is. I'm sorry, my love, but I can't lose you. Not to death, not to fear, not to anything. You'll understand in time. When our children are born, when I've brought peace to the galaxy, you'll see that I was right. As Padme stands trapped in the Force stasis, tears streaming down her frozen cheeks, Anakin activates his holographic communicator. The image of Emperor Palpatine flickers to life, his yellow eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Master, the mission is complete. Obi-Wan Kenobi is dead, and the last of the Jedi resistance has been eliminated. Excellent, Lord Vader. Your commitment to the dark side is now absolute. But tell me, what of Senator Amidala? I sense she is not taken to your transformation as readily as we might have hoped. She is preserved. I have used the techniques you taught me to keep her safe, to ensure that she and our children will survive. Palpatine's expression shifts almost imperceptibly. He had expected Vader's attachment to Padme to be a useful weakness, a lever to ensure his apprentice's loyalty. But this obsessive need to control and possess suggests something far more dangerous. A Sith who cannot let go of the past is a Sith who cannot fully embrace the future. Wise, my apprentice. Bring her to the Imperial Medical Facility on Coruscant. We shall ensure that both she and your offspring survive this transition intact. But even as he speaks the words, Palpatine's mind is already working on the problem Vader represents. The young Sith Lord's power is undeniable, his potential vast, but his emotional attachments make him unpredictable. Perhaps these children, when they arrive, will provide the Emperor with the leverage he needs to ensure Vader's complete subservience. At the Imperial Medical Facility, the finest medical droids and technology in the galaxy work to extract Luke and Leia Skywalker from their mother's stasis-bound form. Unlike the original timeline, where Padme dies from the trauma of Anakin's fall and the difficulty of childbirth, here she remains alive but trapped, aware of everything but unable to act. The birth is a surreal mixture of joy and horror. Vader stands in the observation room, watching through reinforced transparasteel as his children enter the galaxy. When he first sees Luke's face, when he hears that first cry of life, something stirs within him that he thought the dark side had destroyed forever. Luke. The name comes to him unbidden, a remnant of conversations he and Padme had during happier times. If it's a boy, she had said, we should name him Luke. It's a good name, a strong name. The second child follows quickly, a daughter whose fierce cries echo through the medical bay like a promise of storms to come. Leia. Another name from those vanished conversations, another fragment of the life he's destroyed in his quest to save it. For a moment, as Vader holds his son for the first time, the yellow fire in his eyes dims slightly. This is what he fought for, what he killed for. The continuation of his line, the survival of his love in new forms. Surely this justifies everything he's done. But Emperor Palpatine has other plans. As Vader cradles Luke, feeling an unexpected surge of paternal emotion, his master makes his move. Lord Vader, these children represent both an opportunity and a threat. The prophecy spoke of the Chosen One bringing balance to the Force, but it said nothing about what would happen to his offspring. We must be cautious. They are my children, Master. They will be raised in the ways of the dark side. They will serve the Empire as I do. Perhaps, but consider the risks. If word of their existence reaches the rebellion, they will stop at nothing to use them against us. And children are unpredictable. Their loyalties can shift in ways we cannot anticipate. Vader's grip on Luke tightens protectively, but he can see the wisdom in his master's words. The galaxy is still in turmoil, still full of enemies who would use any weapon against the Empire. His children's safety must come before his own desires. What do you suggest, my master? Separation. The boy will be trained from birth to serve the dark side, but away from your influence. Your attachment to him could prove a weakness. As for the girl, Her Force sensitivity should be suppressed and her true parentage hidden. Let her live a normal life, unaware of her heritage, until such time as we have need of her. Reluctantly, Vader agrees to the separation. Luke is sent to a facility on Kamino, the same world where the clone army was created. There, surrounded by the endless rains and vast oceans, he will be raised by loyal Imperial scientists and trained from birth to be the perfect Sith apprentice. Leia is given to Bail Organa and Queen Breha on Alderaan, but with a crucial difference from the original timeline. Instead of being raised as royalty, she is placed with a carefully selected family of Imperial loyalists. Her Force sensitivity is suppressed through a combination of meditation techniques and mild pharmaceutical intervention, ensuring that she grows up as normal as possible. With his children scattered and his wife preserved in stasis, Vader throws himself into his duties as the Emperor's apprentice. But the Empire he serves is subtly different from the one that emerged in the original timeline. Without the threat of Luke Skywalker's eventual emergence, without the mystical narrative of a farm boy challenging the dark side, the rebellion faces a crisis of purpose that they never experienced before. On Yavin 4, Mon Mothma studies the stolen Death Star plans with growing desperation. The technical readouts are clear. The space station is a technological terror beyond anything the galaxy has ever seen, capable of destroying entire planets with a single shot. But they lack the crucial element that made victory possible in the original timeline. Without Luke Skywalker's Force sensitivity, without Obi-Wan Kenobi's guidance, without the mystical elements that turned a desperate assault into a moment of transcendent heroism, the rebellion's attack on the Death Star becomes exactly what it appears to be: a futile gesture by a ragtag collection of idealists flying outdated fighters against an invincible fortress. General Dodonna's briefing is thorough and professional, but the hope that characterized the original assault is noticeably absent. The pilots listen grimly as he explains the plan, knowing that they're likely flying to their deaths for little more than symbolic value. You'll be going in without Jedi guidance, without Force-enhanced reflexes, without any of the mystical advantages our predecessors relied on. This will be a victory of skill, determination, and perhaps a little luck. The assault proceeds much as planned, but without Luke's intervention, without that impossible shot guided by the Force, the rebellion's torpedoes miss their mark. One by one, the brave pilots of Red Squadron are picked off by Darth Vader's advanced TIE fighter and the Death Star's overwhelming defenses. The space battle becomes a massacre. Without the moral victory of the Death Star's destruction, without proof that the Empire's superweapons can be defeated, potential allies across the galaxy lose hope. Worlds that might have joined the rebellion instead submit to Imperial rule, choosing survival over resistance. In the aftermath of their catastrophic defeat, the surviving rebel leaders retreat to the Outer Rim, but they're fighting a losing battle. Mon Mothma and the other leaders know that without some dramatic change in circumstances, their cause is doomed. Years pass, and the galaxy settles into an uneasy peace under Imperial rule. The Empire's authority is absolute, enforced by legions of stormtroopers and the ever-present threat of Death Stars. But beneath the surface, tensions continue to simmer. Vader's power grows daily, fed by his mastery of the dark side and his position as the Emperor's enforcer. He becomes a figure of legend throughout the galaxy, the Dark Lord of the Sith, whose very name strikes fear into the hearts of those who would oppose Imperial rule. But with that power comes a growing sense of isolation and a gnawing awareness that he has become something monstrous. On Kamino, Luke Skywalker grows into a powerful young man, trained in the dark side from birth. Unlike his father, he knows no conflict between light and dark, no memory of better times to haunt his dreams. The scientists have crafted him into the perfect Sith weapon, a being of pure dark side energy, without the emotional baggage that makes Vader unpredictable. But even the most carefully laid plans can go awry. The Force has a way of asserting itself in unexpected ways, and Luke's connection to it runs deeper than any training can fully suppress. As he approaches his 18th birthday, strange dreams begin to plague his sleep. Visions of a woman in white, of a father figure shrouded in black, of choices that will determine the fate of the galaxy. Dr. Pershing, the lead scientist overseeing Luke's development, notices the changes in his subject with growing concern. The young man's midi-chlorian readings have been spiking erratically, and his performance in combat simulations has become almost supernaturally precise. Lord Vader, I believe your son is ready for the next phase of his training. His mastery of dark side techniques is complete, and his physical conditioning is at peak efficiency. Perhaps it is time for him to meet his father. The reunion takes place in one of the Emperor's private chambers, a vast space decorated with Sith artifacts and illuminated by the hellish glow of red crystal formations. Vader stands at the center of the room, his breathing apparatus providing the only sound as Luke enters. For a moment, father and son simply stare at each other. Vader sees his own potential reflected in Luke's bearing, the perfect synthesis of power and control that he himself has never quite achieved. Luke sees the future he's been trained to embrace, the dark destiny that has been prepared for him since birth. You have done well, my son. Your training is complete, but when Luke speaks, his voice carries undertones that send a chill through Vader's mechanical heart. It's cold, calculating, devoid of the passion that characterizes most Sith Lords. Thank you, Father. I am ready to claim my birthright. But I wonder, when will you claim yours? The words hang in the air like a challenge. Luke continues, his voice steady and emotionless. I have studied the history of the Sith, Father. I know the rule of two, master and apprentice. One to embody power, one to crave it. You have been the apprentice for many years now. Don't you think it's time for that to change? Vader realizes with growing horror that Palpatine's plan has worked too well. Luke has been shaped into the perfect Sith, which means he's also been shaped to eventually overthrow his master. But the Emperor made one crucial miscalculation. Luke's loyalties aren't to the Empire, or even to the Sith Code. They're to power itself, pure and simple. Luke, now calling himself Darth Caedus, doesn't wait for his father's response. Within days of their reunion, he begins to implement a plan he's been formulating for years. Using his access to Imperial systems and his reputation as Vader's heir, he begins to recruit followers from among the younger generation of Imperial officers and dark side adepts. The confrontation comes sooner than anyone expects. Rather than challenge the Emperor directly, Luke manipulates events to force the confrontation that has been brewing between master and apprentice for decades. In the Emperor's throne room, the three most powerful beings in the galaxy face each other in a triangle of hatred and ambition. So, young Skywalker, you believe you are ready to claim power? Emperor Palpatine's voice drips with amusement and contempt. You think that your years of training have prepared you to face the dark side of the Force itself? I think that you are old and I am young. I think that your time has passed and mine has come. Luke's response is delivered with the calm certainty of mathematical fact. And you, Lord Vader, do you stand with your master or with your son? Vader finds himself caught between competing loyalties, between the oath he swore to Palpatine and the paternal love he cannot entirely suppress. When he speaks, his voice carries the weight of years of hidden resentment. I have served faithfully, my master. But perhaps it is time for the galaxy to embrace a new vision of order. So be it. If you will not serve, then you will both die. The battle that follows shakes the very foundations of the Imperial Palace. Lightning fills the air as Palpatine unleashes the full fury of the dark side, but he's facing two opponents whose combined power rivals his own. Vader's mechanical strength and decades of experience combine with Luke's youth and ruthless precision to create a nearly unstoppable force. The duel rages across multiple levels of the throne room. Ancient Sith artifacts are shattered by stray lightsaber strikes, and the very air seems to crackle with dark side energy. Palpatine fights with the desperation of a master who realizes he's created his own destroyers, but even his vast power has limits. In the end, it's treachery rather than skill that determines the outcome. As Palpatine presses his attack against Vader, Luke strikes from behind, his lightsaber piercing the Emperor's heart with clinical precision. Palpatine's scream of rage and disbelief echoes through the Force itself as he collapses, his life's work undone by his own ambition. But Luke's victory over the Emperor is only the beginning. With Palpatine dead, father and son turn on each other with the inevitability of a Sith legacy. The rule of two demands it, and neither is willing to serve. The lightsaber duel between Vader and Luke is unlike anything the galaxy has ever witnessed. Father against son, both shaped by darkness, both consumed by their need to dominate. But Luke has advantages his father lacks: youth, agility, and most importantly, no internal conflict. Where Vader still carries the emotional scars of Anakin Skywalker's choices, Luke is purely, completely Sith. As they fight, their lightsabers painting deadly arcs through the smoke-filled throne room. Luke reveals the full extent of his preparations. From the shadows step a dozen dark side adepts, young men and women he's been secretly training in the deeper mysteries of the Sith. Together, they overwhelm Vader through sheer numbers. The Dark Lord of the Sith, who once stood against entire armies, finally falls before the coordinated assault of his own son's followers. As he lies dying, Vader looks up at Luke with something that might be pride. "You have learned well, my son." Perhaps too well. With both Palpatine and Vader dead, Luke claims the Imperial throne, but his victory is Pyrrhic. The Empire fragments almost immediately, torn apart by competing factions and the power vacuum created by the Emperor's death. Luke rules from Coruscant with an iron fist, but his authority extends only as far as his fleet can reach. On Alderaan, Princess Leia Organa begins to experience strange dreams and visions. The pharmaceutical suppressants that have kept her Force sensitivity dormant are beginning to lose their effectiveness as she approaches her 20th birthday. Memories that aren't her own flood her sleeping mind. A beautiful woman with sad eyes, a man in black armor, a brother she's never met but somehow knows. When she finally learns the truth about her parentage, when the carefully constructed lies of her childhood crumble away, Leia doesn't turn to the light side as her mother might have hoped. Instead, she embraces a third path, neither Jedi nor Sith, but something entirely new. Using her royal connections and the resources of Alderaan, Leia begins to build her own power base. She recruits from among the displaced Imperial officers who refuse to serve Luke, from rebel survivors who have lost faith in democracy, from anyone who believes that the galaxy needs a firm hand to guide it through the chaos. Her movement isn't about freedom or justice in any traditional sense. It's about order, about creating a stable government that can prevent the kind of galactic civil wars that have plagued civilization for generations. She calls herself the Iron Princess, and her followers believe that only through strength can peace be achieved. The final confrontation between Luke and Leia takes place not in a throne room or a space station, but in the ruins of the Jedi Temple on Coruscant. The sacred halls where generations of Jedi learned to wield the Force have been transformed into a monument to the dark side's victory, but they still retain echoes of their former purpose. Brother and sister circle each other among the broken statues of long-dead Jedi Masters, their lightsabers providing the only illumination in the darkened chamber. When they finally clash, it's with the fury of siblings who have been shaped by forces beyond their control, molded into weapons by the ambitions of others. "You were meant to serve me, sister. You were meant to help me rule this galaxy with the wisdom of the Sith. I was meant to rule myself, brother, and I won't bow to anyone, not even you." Their duel is a masterpiece of lightsaber combat, combining Luke's technical perfection with Leia's intuitive brilliance. But as they fight, both begin to sense something else stirring in the depths of the temple. A presence that has been sleeping for 20 years, waiting for the right moment to awaken, deep beneath the temple, in chambers that most people have forgotten exist. Padme Amidala finally stirs from her Force-induced stasis. The woman who loved Anakin Skywalker, who believed in the good within him even at the end, opens her eyes for the first time in 2 decades. But the galaxy she awakens to is not the one she remembers. Through the Force, she can sense the darkness that has consumed her children, the way their potential for good has been twisted into instruments of oppression. The dreams she once had of family dinners and bedtime stories have become nightmares of sibling rivalry played out on a galactic scale. As Luke and Leia's battle reaches its climax, as brother prepares to strike down sister in a moment that will echo through history, Padme's presence suddenly fills the temple like a burst of pure light. For the first time in 20 years, the Force flows through the ancient halls without the taint of the dark side. Stop. The word carries with it all the authority of a senator who once stood against tyranny, all the love of a mother who has watched her children from afar, all the power of a Force-sensitive being who has spent 2 decades in communion with the living energy that binds the galaxy together. Luke and Leia freeze, their lightsabers locked together, as they turn to see their mother walking slowly up the temple steps. She's aged during her time in stasis, her hair now streaked with silver, her face marked by the kind of weariness that comes from witnessing too much suffering. But her eyes still burn with the fire that once inspired a galaxy to fight for freedom. "My children, what have you become?" Her voice breaks their hearts in ways that no weapon ever could. For the first time since their childhood, Luke and Leia remember what it feels like to be truly vulnerable, truly human. Their lightsabers dim and deactivate as they stare at the woman who gave them life. "Mother?" Luke's voice cracks with emotion he thought he'd purged years ago. "You're supposed to be dead. I've been waiting," she replies simply. "Waiting for the moment when you would need me most." And that moment is now. As Padme moves between her children, the Force itself seems to shift around them. The dark side energy that has saturated the temple for so long begins to dissipate, replaced by something older, more primal. The balance that the Jedi spoke of, the harmony that Anakin was supposed to bring, begins to reassert itself at last. But will it be enough? Can a mother's love overcome the darkness that began with her husband's choice on Mustafar? Can Padme reach the light that still flickers somewhere deep within her children's hearts? Or is this galaxy too far gone, doomed to cycle through different forms of tyranny until the stars themselves burn out? The Force, as we know, seeks balance above all else. And perhaps, in the awakening of Padme Amidala and the confrontation between the twins she bore, that balance is finally beginning to reassert itself. The question is whether it will come through redemption, through destruction, or through something entirely new. As our story reaches its climax, we see that Anakin's victory on Mustafar didn't just change his fate, or even the fate of the Jedi. It fundamentally altered the nature of the Force itself in this galaxy. Without the redemptive arc that characterized the original timeline, without the hope that a young farm boy could overcome the darkness within his father, the galaxy has been trapped in an endless cycle of Sith dominance. But perhaps that's exactly what the Force needed. Perhaps only by experiencing the full consequences of unchecked dark side power could the galaxy finally understand the true value of balance. In the ruins of the Jedi Temple, as a mother faces the children she never got to raise, as siblings confront the choices that have defined their lives, the stage is set for either ultimate redemption or final destruction. The future remains unwritten, balanced on the edge of a lightsaber blade and the love of a woman who refused to give up hope, even when hope itself seemed dead. Whatever happens next will determine not just the fate of the Skywalker family, but the fundamental nature of the Force itself in a galaxy far, far away. That's our theory. The Star Wars universe is a galaxy filled with exciting stories and possibilities, and we love exploring them. If you want to accompany us on this journey to a galaxy far, far away, then please like, share, and subscribe to our channel.